Hello and welcome to a very lonely Thread Talk with me, Elliot. That's right, lockdown has once again very sadly separated the Thread team. But not to worry, because we are all staying home and staying safe. But despite the lack of our regular studio, the content must go on. So here I am in my kitchen, and today I'm going to share with you my recipe and show you how to make my Thread famous banana bread. Whoa, wait. This isn't going to be your average run-of-the-mill cooking tutorial video. No. This is thread.com. This is Thread, this is the home of everything social change, and it is also Veganuary. So to honour the holiday, to honour the occasion, to honour the month, I am going to be adapting my recipe to make the banana bread vegan. I've never done this before, I haven't looked up any recipes. I'm simply going to take my existing recipe and substitute all the non-vegan things for vegan alternatives. And we might talk about some of the pros and cons of Veganuary as we go along. So let's get cracking. But not eggs. Eggs. Fuck. What do I use instead of eggs? What's vegan eggs? I have to look this up. Vegan substitute for eggs. Apples. Applesauce. Do I have apples? I do. Okay, so now I've got to make applesauce as well. How to make applesauce. Okay, that doesn't sound too hard. So unsurprisingly, the first thing you need to make applesauce is 2 apples, peeled and cored. And upon discovering that I don't have an apple peeler, we're gonna have to do this in a kind of rustic fashion. Yep, this is just how we're gonna do it. I've decided to go with 2 apples because my recipe has 2 eggs. So 2 eggs, 2 apples. Along with your generously peeled and chopped apples, you also want to add 50 grams of sugar and 50 grams of butter. And then you just put that on the hob for about 15 minutes. So the recipe says. I've never made applesauce before, so this will be interesting. So I think these are about ready to be mashed now. They've been on for a little bit longer than 15 minutes. I'm just gonna go ahead and add like an absolute ton of cinnamon to these because cooking is all about confidence, and I think this is a good idea. Actually smells really good. Okay, so while that unexpected addition is nicely boiling away, we may as well take the time to talk about Veganuary. So Veganuary is a non-profit organisation that encourages people to try being vegan for the month of January and beyond. That beyond bit is important. We will come back to it later. Last year in 2020, 400,000 people took part in Veganuary. 600 brands, restaurants and supermarkets promoted the campaign, launching 1,200 new vegan products and menus in the UK. Speaking of the UK, between 2014 and 2019, the number of vegans in Great Britain quadrupled from 150,000 to 600,000. 42% of UK vegans only decided to become vegan in 2018, which goes some way to proving that the number is growing exponentially. In short, veganism is on the rise, and you only need to go check out how large the vegan section in your local supermarket has grown over the years to prove that point. Even fast food chains like McDonald's, Burger King, KFC have all made new additions to their menus, though none of them have yet to beat Greg's vegan sausage roll. At least for me, in my opinion. This video is not promoted by Greg's. Other brands of vegan sausage roll are available. They're just not as good. As you can see here, these bananas are beyond ripe and really are not much good for anything else other than banana bread. Usually you want 2 or 3 of these bananas. You can use slightly fresher looking bananas. I haven't noticed that much of a difference, but obviously these are a lot easier to mash. Now is the time to reveal my secret ingredient, the thing that makes my banana bread better than everyone else's, and that is rum. So I like to add a nice, generous generous dose of rum to the bananas directly. They say one of the benefits of a vegan diet is improved kidney function, so we're just gonna go ahead and add a little bit more. And then you just get mushing. Now's the point where I'm panicking and thinking, is rum vegan? Sugarcane, molasses, rum, I think we're good.
A Veganuary participation survey from last year actually showed that the majority of people, 38%, took up the challenge for health reasons. Now, besides obviously giving you telekinetic powers.
Short answer, being vegan just makes you better than most people.
Bingo.
Other reported health benefits of a vegan diet include lower blood sugar levels, lower risk of heart disease, and can even help with pain caused by arthritis. From that same survey, 37% of participants said they took part for animal-related reasons, and the other 18% said it was because of environmental reasons. Now, we'll get more into that in just a bit.
And so to the wonderful rum banana concoction, we add 225 grams of self-raising flour. Usually you would sieve this in, but I don't have a sieve here with me today, so I'm going to use this sort of small colander. It doesn't really work, I won't lie. Then you want to add a generous teaspoon of baking powder. I like to throw a little salt in there too. Then 125 grams of sugar, and then 100 grams of vegan butter, which you can get from pretty much most supermarkets now. And then instead of 2 eggs, we're going to add our freshly made applesauce, half a cup of applesauce. Now, I have tasted raw egg, no context required. It definitely tastes better, so I'm pretty excited about this. And then you know what to do. Then you just add it to a grease-proof tin, and you're pretty much done. And then that wants to go into a preheated oven, 180 degrees for around 45 minutes.
Okay, so now that that's in the oven and there's a shit ton of washing up behind me, let's get back to talking about the environment and Veganuary. We talked a lot in our meat alternatives thread talk about the impact the industry has on the environment. So if you haven't checked that out, I'd recommend you go give it a watch. But if you want it summed up for you now, albeit with less entertaining animations, the meat industry is a massive contributor to climate change. Therefore, any initiative like Veganuary that encourages people to eat less meat is in my book a good one. However, when looking at the bigger picture, some might say the biggest picture, because until Thanos turns up, I'm considering climate change the #1 threat, there are those who have some legitimate criticisms about Veganuary. In the UK, for example, a lot of the food we would enjoy as part of a vegan diet isn't exactly seasonal to our cold, windy island in January. This means that we need to import a lot of fruit and veg from other countries, which in turn increases its carbon footprint, which, if you're trying Veganuary for environmental reasons, puts a bit of a spanner in the works. When the choice of what to have on your toast is between a free-range egg that came from a farm just down the road to an avocado that had to be flown in from Mexico, you can see where the lines begin to blur. This has resulted in a movement which is picking up a lot of traction at the moment called Reganuary. Reganuary is less about restricting your diet and more focused on sourcing your food from regenerative agriculture, filling your fridge with seasonal local produce. In the UK, for example, seasonal vegan options could include apples, beetroot, carrots, celery, leeks, mushrooms, onions, parsnips, pears, squash, swedes, and turnips. So how about mushrooms on toast? Does that make everyone happy?
Literally just found out you can actually use extra bananas as a substitute for eggs as well as apple, which is pretty annoying. But this banana bread doesn't seem to have any complaints about the substitute I went with. Beautiful. Come on, you. Out you come.
And then to check it's cooked, you just want to put the knife in. If it comes out clean, you're golden.
Moment of truth. Let's try out
vegan banana bread. I'm definitely getting the apple, but it's not a bad thing. If I had to give one criticism, I'd say it's slightly denser than a regular banana bread. I would suggest maybe upping the cooking time. But overall, a very, very nice substitute and an excellent lunch, because I had to skip it in order to make this video. So, this probably won't last long. So to conclude, I'm still chewing. Delicious density. So to conclude, even with the valid criticism of Veganuary, I still think it is a good idea, and I'll tell you why. In my opinion, the first challenge we face when it comes to combating the climate crisis is changing people's mindsets. And I believe conveniency and habit are the two biggest obstacles in the way of us achieving this. And food is an excellent example of this. Perfecting a new vegan recipe takes time and practice. So does preparing a lunch to take into school or work. There's no pretending it wouldn't be quicker and easier to just cook something you're familiar with or buy that cheese sandwich from M&S. Looking at you, Charlie. This is why movements like Veganuary, which challenge us to change our habits, but for a manageable amount of time so as not to be too inconvenient, are still a great idea. Going back to the participation survey we mentioned earlier, 60% of people who tried Veganuary last year said it was easier than they expected. 73% said they would continue being vegan afterwards, and 93% of the people who didn't commit to staying vegan still said that they were willing to try vegan food again. This is what it's all about, changing mindsets and raising awareness. If Veganuary got just a couple of carnivores to add a potato curry once in a while to their repertoire of recipes, then surely it's a good thing. And in an ideal world, Veganuary and Reganuary supporters wouldn't be enemies, but allies, joining forces to open eyes and help save the environment. I'm going to stand by mushrooms on toast as a metaphor for a united front, fighting climate change with food. This conclusion's getting away from me. So, that's the end of the video. Thank you everyone for watching. As always, please subscribe, give us a like, drop us a comment, letting us know about your experiences with vegan food. Are you Veganuary or are you Reganuary? Or are you just trying to help in any little way that you can? If you want to know more about regenerative agriculture, you should check out our documentary review of The Biggest Little Farm and Apocalypse Cow. I'll put a link in the description, although admittedly in that video we do kind of argue that if the population continues to grow as it has been, then regenerative agriculture isn't really an option, and the better solution might be synthetically grown foods. But until that technology catches up with us, we should all be focusing on the small ways we can change our habits to help out the planet. And not just with food, with fashion, technology, transport. And if any of these subjects are of interest to you, then you can read all about them on our website, home of social change, thread.com. That's thred.com. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.